Billboard magazine reported that Altec Lansing products were in more professional music studios around the world, including Abbey Road, than every other speaker brand combined. Their systems filled nearly every movie theater across America. They provided the sound at Woodstock in 1969, projecting audio to 400,000 people across a 600-acre field. That was Altec Lansing. So how did the world's best speaker maker end up selling $20 Bluetooth speakers at the Walmart checkout aisle? But this story does not start with Bluetooth speakers or retail shelves. It starts with the birth of sound in cinema. In the 1920s, AT&T's manufacturing arm, Western Electric, developed the technology that brought synchronized sound to motion pictures. Western Electric installed and serviced sound systems in theaters across the United States, and by the mid-1930s, they held a near-total monopoly on movie theater audio equipment. The government took notice. An antitrust lawsuit and a consent decree in 1937 and 1938 forced Western Electric to sell off its audio division. A group of their own engineers, led by George Carrington Sr., purchased the service business for just $23,499. They called the new company Altec Service Company. Altec was a contraction of All Technical. They inherited 295 audio engineers and decades of acoustic expertise, but they had no factory. That's where James Bullough Lansing came in. Lansing had been building custom loudspeakers for theaters and radio stations out of Los Angeles since 1927. His company, Lansing Manufacturing, had already earned industry recognition for co-developing the Shearer horn system with MGM Studios in 1935. But after the death of his business partner Ken Decker in a 1939 aviation accident, Lansing Manufacturing was in serious financial trouble. Altec saw an opportunity. In 1941, they purchased the struggling company for $50,000. The two merged to form the Altec Lansing Corporation, combining Altec's massive service network with Lansing's acoustic design talent. What followed was one of the most dominant stretches in the history of audio engineering. During World War II, Altec Lansing developed magnetic airborne detection equipment and sensitive communications gear for the military. But the post-war return to commercial audio is what cemented their name. In 1943 and 1944, Altec engineers introduced the 604 duplex loudspeaker. It was a coaxial design mounting a high-frequency compression driver directly behind a 15-inch bass cone, with high-frequency sound projecting through a multicellular horn in the exact center of the woofer. The result was an incredibly precise point source speaker. A critical breakthrough came from wartime research. During anti-submarine detection contracts, Altec engineers had worked with Alnico 5, an exceptionally strong magnetic material. They replaced the old, bulky field coil motors with permanent Alnico 5 magnets, dramatically increasing efficiency and output. The 604 duplex became the standard studio monitor at recording facilities around the world. Engineers at Abbey Road and countless other major studios used this speaker to mix and master records throughout the 1950s and the 1960s. Alongside the 604, Altec Lansing transformed cinema audio with the Voice of the Theater speaker series. Designed collaboratively by James B. Lansing and engineer John Hilliard, these systems used hybrid bass horn enclosures paired with large sectoral metal horns for controlled high-frequency dispersion. These systems delivered unprecedented dialogue clarity and acoustic power in large auditoriums. In 1955, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences designated the Voice of the Theater as the industry standard for cinema sound. The A7 model later earned induction into the Technology Hall of Fame in 2004. James B. Lansing himself left the company in 1946 after his contract expired, citing disagreements over the future direction of transducer design. He founded James B. Lansing Sound, Incorporated. You know it today as JBL. Despite his departure, Altec's momentum carried on for decades. But those cinema speakers and studio monitors weren't going to stay indoors. The acoustic power and efficiency of Altec Lansing components eventually migrated from cinemas to live concerts. At the Woodstock Music and Art Fair in August 1969, audio engineer Bill Hanley faced an impossible problem. Public address systems of the era maxed out at around 100 watts, and Hanley needed to project sound to an audience that had swelled to roughly 400,000 people across a 600-acre site. Commercial systems capable of that did not exist. Hanley hand-built dozens of massive speaker enclosures, combining Altec Lansing high-frequency cinema horns with JBL 15-inch bass drivers. He mounted them on 16 towering 70-foot scaffolds and powered everything with 10,000 watts of Macintosh and Crown amplification. It worked. That achievement cemented Altec components as the backbone of modern live sound reinforcement. None of that engineering dominance would protect the company from what came next. Despite all of that, the company fell victim to corporate conglomeration. In 1958, James Ling purchased Altec and absorbed it into his conglomerate, LTV Ling Altec. Rather than investing in audio innovation, LTV used Altec as a financial instrument, loading it with heavy debt before spinning it off in 1974. Crippled by leverage and unable to compete with increasingly efficient Japanese imports, Altec filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy that same year, reorganized, then filed again a decade later. In 1984, Gulton Industries acquired what was left and immediately dismantled the consumer and automotive audio divisions, relocating to Oklahoma City. Gulton was then bought by Mark IV Audio, which sold to Telex Communications. By 2000, Telex shut down the professional division entirely, folding the remaining intellectual property into its Electro Voice brand. The original Altec Lansing, as a working audio manufacturer, was finished. That killed Altec Lansing, the manufacturer. The brand name had a separate unraveling. While the professional side was being gutted through the 1980s, a company called Sparkomatic Corporation, based in Milford, Pennsylvania, had quietly acquired the Altec Lansing consumer brand name. Sparkomatic was a profitable manufacturer of aftermarket car stereos, sold through mass-market retailers like Kmart and Walmart. But facing competition from Japanese audio giants like Sony, Alpine, and Pioneer, they needed a prestige name. Altec Lansing gave them exactly that. Under Sparkomatic's leadership, the company made a pivot that was, at the time, genuinely smart. They anticipated the multimedia computing boom, and in 1990 and 1991, pioneered the first purpose-built computer speakers. If you were around in the mid-90s or the early 2000s, you almost certainly saw those little desktop speaker and subwoofer sets on every computer desk in every office and dorm room in the country. Sparkomatic officially renamed itself Altec Lansing Technologies in 1992. By 2000, they purchased the remaining global trademark rights from Telex, consolidating the entire brand under one roof in Pennsylvania. They were generating over $100 million a year from PC audio peripherals alone. The InMotion portable speaker docks then rode the iPod wave and sold extremely well. That financial success attracted aggressive corporate buyers. Altec Lansing had roughly 10 years of runway before the brand name was worth almost nothing. In 2005, Plantronics acquired Altec Lansing for approximately $166 million, hoping to merge its headset business with Altec's consumer audio. The synergies never materialized. 4 years later, a distressed Plantronics sold the brand to a Texas private equity firm called Profit Equity for around $18 million. That's not a typo, by the way. That's an 89% collapse in value in 4 years. Then in 2012, Profit Equity flipped the brand to the Infinity Group for roughly $17.5 million. The Infinity Group is not an electronics company. It's a brand management platform. Their business model involves acquiring distressed heritage trademarks and licensing those names to third-party manufacturers who handle everything from design to production to retail placement. In 2013, Infinity entered a licensing deal with Sakar International, a New Jersey-based distributor that manages over 40 licensed brands and specializes in budget-friendly, mass-market electronics manufactured offshore. Sakar essentially became Altec Lansing for the consumer market. And if you've walked through a Walmart or Target recently, you've seen the results. Waterproof Bluetooth speakers with LED lights that strobe to music, party speakers with bass boost, wireless earbuds priced under $20. The products are designed, manufactured, and distributed entirely by Sakar using off-the-shelf components. Open one up and you'll find the same unbranded parts you'd see inside a dozen other budget speakers on the same shelf. And yet the Altec Lansing website still features a timeline stretching from 1927 to today, claiming the brand continues to push into the audio world with next-generation technology and products designed to be the life of the party. Products like the Rockbox XL 2.0 look identical to every other Bluetooth speaker on the shelf. They have major sports sponsorships with the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins, and the Boston Red Sox. It looks like a top-tier electronics company. Open the hood, and there is no lab, no acoustic engineering team, no proprietary driver development, just a licensed name on imported hardware. There is a part of this story that barely anyone talks about. While the retail brand was being passed around like a distressed asset, the actual engineering legacy quietly survived. In 1998, after Telex closed the original Altec factory in Oklahoma City, a former Altec engineer named Bill Hanushak purchased the original tooling, engineering drawings, and manufacturing equipment directly from Telex. He formed Great Plains Audio. Operating completely independently from the Altec Lansing trademark, Great Plains Audio handcrafts authorized replicas of the original 604 duplex monitors and voice of the theater components, preserving the Alnico magnet structures and the specialized paper cones that made the originals legendary. Sakar International owns the Altec name on retail shelves. Great Plains Audio owns the physical tools and the engineering knowledge that originally made that name worth printing on a speaker. What survived was not the trademark. It was the tooling, the drawings, and the hands that knew how to use them. The original voice of the theater systems still command reverence and high prices in vintage audio circles. The name, currently printed on budget Bluetooth speakers at your nearest Walmart, shares nothing with that legacy except the font on the logo. The letters are the same. Everything behind them is gone.